Good afternoon. You are listening to The Stories We Tell Ourselves. This week we will be talking to Elena Castellanos. She's the author of A Glimpse at Reality, a story about her experiences at the Chicano Latino Youth Leadership Project and the realization she made about her identity. Hi Elena, how are you?
I'm really good.
So I read your story and I loved it. Can you talk a little bit about the narrator's perspectives in A Glimpse at Reality?
Yeah, so my story is divided by my mom's perspective and my roommate Karen's perspective at the conference.
Great. Would you mind reading your story?
Yeah, I'd love to. A Glimpse of Reality. Mom. Hey, Mom. I'm walking towards the Placita. I should be there in 5. Alana muffled through the phone. All right, we are waiting. I was so nervous to see my daughter. When I dropped her off last Saturday, I could already tell this experience was going to be different than any other experience Elena had ever had. When the bus came, I asked Elena if she had all of her stuff and waved her goodbye. While all the families around me were taking pictures of the kids with their suitcases and kissing them goodbye. This was not the first parting Elena and I had ever had. We are so used to her leaving home for trips to Sacramento and Fresno through youth and government that goodbye seemed normal. For these families, I knew it was different. I knew because these families were my parents. But these parents were not Elena's. All week, I had been waiting for her to come home and tell me everything she had learned. I could see her big black suitcase as she struggled to juggle all of her stuff. I couldn't tell what, but something seemed different. Hey guys, she greeted, giving us a big hug. So, are you going to be president now? I chuckled. You never know, she laughed. As we began to drive home, she began to talk all about the speakers and events that she heard at the conference. I could see the excitement in her eyes as she talked about the true meaning behind Cinco de Mayo and the fact that there were only 15 Latino caucus members in the whole state capitol. Mom, did you know only 28% of Latinos vote in California? Elena asked. Really? Only 28%? Yeah, Mom. We need to change that. It's horrible. I could not help but feel a little scared of her. She had so many ideas and opinions. Elena has always had a lot of opinions and ideas, but not as strong and big as now. She was confident in a way she had never been before. Karen. 30 seconds ago, I was told to find the girl with the matching number on her key as me. Now, I'm walking around in circles trying to find the 32A to my 32B, which is getting really annoying. Then finally, I find her. From first glance, I could already tell that we were going to be from two different worlds. Her hair was cropped and straight, and she was wearing a little gold circle necklace that matched her watch and dangly bracelet. A city girl, to say the least. Ugh, a city girl, I said. She chuckled. Yeah, how'd you know? Oh, just a guess. Well, hi, my name's Elena, she greeted, sticking out her hand. Karen, I responded, as I shook her hand. I grabbed my bag, and we continued on to our dorm room. After settling our things, we went down to the lobby to find our group. At first, I thought she was going to be quiet and shy, but once she started to hear the presenter speak, I knew I was wrong. She asked a billion questions, and I mean a billion. Her hand flew up into the air even before the speaker had finished talking. After the first 5 questions, I had memorized her introduction that went, Hello, my name's Elena Castellanos, and I'm from Los Angeles. It was like she felt that if her questions were not answered, she would obliterate into existence. Why do you ask so many questions? I questioned. I don't know. I guess I'm just naturally curious, she laughed. As the day went on, I learned that her natural curiosity was contagious. Soon, I began to ask questions and discuss contemporary issues just like her. I have never been encouraged to have an opinion, even more than that to be told that my opinions mattered. But Elena pushed me. I had just met this girl, and she had already expected me to be someone brilliant. How do you feel about the DREAM Act, Karen? She asked. I don't know. It seems good. Okay, good. How? Well, it provides students a good opportunity to pursue higher education. Well, there you go. See, you have good ideas. Share them. I guess. Come on, Karen, be confident. Karen, be confident. Karen, your opinions matter. Karen, you have great ideas. Who is this girl, Karen? I was so used to being the girl that went unnoticed. At school, I was not the most popular nor the most well-known. I was just Karen. But here, I was Karen, not just Karen, but Karen, the girl with awesome ideas. Finally, the session ends, and it's time to get back to the dorm room. Mom. Finally, we rolled up to the front of our house. Popping the trunk of the car, Elena yanked out her suitcase. She began to try to drag her huge suitcase through the grass. Mom, can you help me carry my other bags, please? She begged. Fine, come on, hurry up. We have a surprise for you. Yay, I never get surprises, she laughed. I quickly picked up her bags and proceeded to the front door. I juggled her big black backpack and the pillows up the stairs of the house. Then I struggled to open the door with all the bags I was carrying. Finally opening the door, we walked in. We got you food. Be excited. Thank you, she laughed. I'm starving. We sat down, silently eating. Then instantly she began crying. Len, why are you crying? I questioned, trying to give her a hug. Mom, I feel so ashamed, she yelled, covering her face with her hands. Elena, what happened? Nothing happened. Okay, then what's wrong? Finally taking her hands off her face, she answered, all of junior year, I was so stressed about my test scores and getting into college, but Mom, so many of the kids don't even get to go to college. I feel so ashamed that I was so stressed out. I noticed the shame in her eyes as she continued to cry all over her crisp white button-up. Mija, your dad and I have been trying to get you to realize this. Mom, I get to go to college. That isn't even a question. But for these kids, it's not. It's true. The whole time, I felt so different. All of the kids kept talking about being undocumented, having parents who didn't speak English, or living in bad neighborhoods. And I couldn't relate to any of that. Len, that was my life. Your dad and I did that. It's okay that you do not have to go through that because it means that your dad and I did something right. I just want to say thank you, Mom. I realize now that you and Dad going to college and having careers is not something normal. I did not get that before. I didn't get that it was such a big deal. I appreciate it, Mija. I'm glad you went. I think it was good for you. Yeah, it gave me perspective. I needed it. Finally, Elena understood. I have always had a hard time talking to Elena and her sisters about my struggles or her father's because we kept them in a bubble. But now, Elena's bubble has popped. And I think it may have been the best experience she's ever had. I knew that this trip was going to be different than her other trips. Now, Elena understands that her path to higher education and success is something that her father and I fought for her to have. Karen. Elena and I raced up the stairs to our dorm room before the flood of girls came up to claim the restrooms. We quickly grabbed our toiletries and ran into the restrooms. Finally ready for bed, we both sat down on our beds, staring at the ceiling. Then, after what seemed like a good 15 minutes, Elena broke the silence. Karen, why are you so scared? She questioned. What do you mean, scared? I don't know, but if something's going on, I hope I can help. Okay, well, I'll let you know, I said, holding my head up from my pillow. Then again, we resumed in silence, trying to find a way to make things less awkward. I sat up on my bed and started to look at Elena's notes from today's speakers. Elena, how are your parents? Well, they're really supportive. My dad's a police officer, my mom's an assistant principal, so they're always really busy with work. But I mean, they still find time to be with me and my sisters. Oh, so did your parents go to college? Yeah, they did. They both were the first ones to go from their families. That's so cool. What about you? She asked. How are your parents? I didn't know what to say. How was I supposed to tell her about my family when her family seemed so different from mine? Now I began to regret even asking the question in the first place. I started to pretend to check text messages on my phone that weren't there. Slowly looking up, I finally answered. My dad's not in the picture, but my mom is cool. She's a little immature, but she means well. Oh, so you live with your mom? Yeah. I decided I was going to tell her. It was time. I couldn't continue to live this way. I thought Elena could help. Elena, I muffled, fixing my pillow under my bed. Yeah. So, do you think I should talk to my dad? What do you mean? Well, my dad's in jail, and I've been receiving letters from him for the past 2 years. He left before that, so I have not seen him in 5 years. I just don't know if I can see him. I'm so ashamed to tell people about my parents because then my dad comes up. Karen, it's nothing to be ashamed of. We all come from different backgrounds, and that's okay. As far as talking to him, that's up to you. Is it something down the road that you'll regret not doing? I guess that's true. I think I need to do it. I have never told anyone about my dad before. Well, that's what roommates are for, she chuckled. I'm glad that you were the 32A to my 32B. Yeah, me too.
Thank you for letting our listeners hear your story. You know, as you were reading, I was thinking about how authentic the narrators of your story sound. How much of the story was based on actual events?
I used some lines that were from the actual conversation we had. I kept the timeline of the events the same so that the reader could feel like they were actually going through the conversation with my mom and I. The first part of Karen's perspective was not altered. All the conversations and impressions that she had of me were accurate and honest. But the second part of the story was altered.
How reliable are your narrators?
My mom's perspective is pretty reliable. She included her own judgments about the scenario before Elena left on the bus and her judgments after Elena came back from the conference. She also added most of the actual conversation that Elena and I had the day Elena came back. Karen's perspective is also reliable because I tried to be honest about her impression of Elena's character as possible. The city girl reference in the story is something that Karen actually said to Elena when they first met.
If you were to tell the story from your perspective, how would the story have been different?
If I had written the story from my perspective, I think I would have talked more about how insecure I felt at the conference. I would talk about how I felt listening to the undocumented, unafraid portion of the conference, or listening to students talk about not being able to vote because they were undocumented, but still helping people sign up to vote. This would allow me to show how inspired I felt by the students around me.
Well, Elena, thanks for coming.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for inviting me.
This was Marta Castellanos signing off for The Stories We Tell Ourselves.